All right, everything's on?
We're good. Yeah, everything's rolling.
All right, we're rolling.
Action.
Good all around?
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, so, that's my camera here. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Frankly Speaking. We are here today with, honestly, my first go-to guest. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Owen Shott.
Hey,
welcome to
what's
Frankly
going
Speaking.
on, man?
How are you?
Excited.
Good. Glad to be here. For those of you who don't know, we're here at Second Bay Brewing today. Awesome little brewery down here in Mandarin area, right next to Julington Creek Plantation. We are going to put their address at the end of this and actually talk to the owner. So we have a lot of their flight here in front of us today, and we'll be talking about that a little bit later. So, all right, without further ado, I need to let you all know who I have here in front of me. So, 5-time national cycling champ, world tri qualifier, collegiate scholarship runner, a 2-time entrepreneur building businesses from the ground up, retail and, personal training. I mean, dude, what don't you do?
I don't know. I mean, I love the endurance industry and being around athletes and just helping people, and I think that's kind of always been my niche. So,
right.
But I definitely, it's something I've just fell in love with, and I was like, all right, I want to be around this for sure.
Man, that's so awesome. So, I guess, and we can go all the way back to, maybe not super far back, but when did you start to realize, okay, I got what it takes. I can, on that athletic scale, this could be a path I could pursue. Because I know right now it's cycling, but back then it was running.
Yeah. So I definitely started out as a runner. And really, I was a soccer player at first. I started playing soccer when I was 5, and just kind of followed it along. And then I started going out to run just to get in shape for soccer.
Right.
And I was like, oh man, I'm kind of good at this running thing. You're always like the first kid to finish, and everybody's yelling at you to slow down and things like that. And I'm like, okay, maybe this running thing is a thing. But yeah, I think it was probably around my freshman, sophomore year. My dad was pretty tough on me, and I think I went out and partied with some of my buddies, around the neighborhood, and I woke up the next morning. I had a little bit of a hangover, and I correct that. My dad woke me up the next morning, and so he's like, "Hey, get up. We're gonna go run." And this is probably one of the first times I ever had alcohol or a lot of alcohol, and I was like, "Oh, what? We're gonna go run?" And my dad would just always ride his bike right next to me, and he would push me. So he ran me until I threw up. I mean, I swear to you, I threw up, and he rode home. Didn't say 2 words to me. He rode home, disappointed, right? And I got home, and he said, "You have a choice. You can be the cool guy, go hang out with your buddies, or you can take this ability you have and go somewhere with it." Mm-hmm. And from that day on, I was just like, all right, I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna do the extra miles. I started waking up in the morning and running, in the morning before I'd go to school.
Nice.
And then we'd have practice at night, and just all of a sudden, I was like, all right, I'm doing well at this. So yeah. I think that was kind of the first. I was like, all right, maybe I had a choice, and then the rest of it was just kind of snowballed.
And I mean, props on your dad for real for saying that, hey, giving you the whole you have a choice speech at like you said, freshman, sophomore year. Because I mean, some people won't get that until junior, senior year, sometimes college, or maybe not even at all.
Right.
So, right on. And then your running career took off. Did you have a preference when it came to track or cross country?
I was definitely better at the shorter distance on the track, and when I say shorter, the 800 meters, the mile. As it started to go up, I don't know if there was just a block or maybe I just didn't have the right endurance at the time, but
okay.
I'd have guys on the team that, when we went to 2 miles or in cross country, they would beat me. But then we were at 800 mile, I just kind of ran the show. So I don't know if there's, I'd say, everybody loved the mile back then, so
right.
That was probably it,
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of my niche too. I mean, when I was in high school doing cross, I couldn't hang with the fastest people on the team, I never ran the 2 mile on track. I thought it was a waste of
Right,
time.
it's a lot of laps, man.
Yeah, it's 8. I can't do that. It gets boring after like 3.
Yeah, and that's what happened. I would
So-
just be like, I go to my own little world, after a couple
Yeah.
laps,
But no, same thing. I mean, 800 and 400, I did the mile a little bit, but once I saw that I could really just like put it in like severe overdrive for like just 2 laps, I was like, this is my niche. This is where I should stay. So unfortunately, I mean, junior year, I did really, really good on the 800 while I was training for like the mile. And I ran, I think, a 2:07 in like a relay. And I mean, that's not like fantastic, but like pretty solid for what, like 2018?
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, I mean, this could go. And then COVID happened the next year.
Yeah.
So we got skipped on the track season. But anyways, fast forwarding, you go from running and then all of a sudden you're now like one could say worldwide known cyclist. I mean, what was the transition there?
Yeah. So there's a lot, I guess, to it. I was running a lot. I was starting my own running store at the time, and so I was like, all right. And then I saw a little bit of an area where I think triathlon could have been important to our running store business.
Right.
And so I was like, hey, I'm going to transition into triathlon, and I was like, all right, I enjoy triathlon. And then from that, all of a sudden I was like, wow, I'm kind of good at this bicycle thing. And you could see like I was like getting faster on the bike every season. And then actually I was training for Worlds, and I did a run workout and my knee started bothering me. And I mean, it was pretty bad. I went and saw some of the best specialists in Jacksonville,
Right.
and we couldn't figure it out. I could barely walk, but I could still ride my bike. So it almost like I had to take a year off of like not running, and so I just started riding and more and more and more.
Okay.
And so I think it was almost forced, and I think a lot of people do that. They're like, oh, I can't run, my knee or my hip or whatever, and then they end up on a bike because it's a lot lower impact. So I think that was the transition. And a lot of people, when I did come into the cycling, they're like, who's this guy? Like, where did he come from? And I even had a couple like rumors, oh, he must be doping or cheating, or and like the people who knew me, they're like, no, this guy's got an endurance background for 15 years, and I came into cycling a little bit later, and as in age, where nowadays, like if you're 18, you already better be like hitting it.
Insane.
Where I came in at 32, 33, and it was kind of like, wait a minute, where'd this guy come from? Nobody had known me,
Right.
Yeah.
And just so everyone back at home knows, it's not like you were like mid-ground running and then just, oh, I can switch to cycling, that's out. I mean, you were crazy in both sides.
Yeah. So, I mean, nowadays everybody's running so fast, so it's like I don't even want to talk about my times because it's like, it's like it's laughable. I mean, it really is, because like, I mean, dude, I mean, the women are beating my times now, and I'm just going, this is insane. It's how fast that everybody's running, but yeah.
And, I watched a little bit of what you guys were talking about on the previous show that you were on.
Yeah.
How it's like the coaches and they all, are kind of interconnected in that way. And Jacksonville has kind of become, even St. Augustine, and I'd say you could honestly reach down to like Flagler, Daytona. It's all like one interconnected hub.
Yep.
But, the craziest guy who's come out of here is Reinhardt from Nice.
Yeah.
I remember... He would never remember this day, but he was in, I guess 8th grade. My buddy Luke and I were in sophomore year. We just finished, we got to States. We've just gotten peaked, and we had gone, I think, very low 19s or high 18s that year. And we had to host a 2-mile time trial for like all the middle schools.
Right.
And I kid you not, he passed my buddy Luke, and I was like, I honestly think I threw up at the end trying to stay in front of him. I was able to, but it's like my one little dig. Like, I remember way back when.
Yeah,
So, but
I
mean,
beat up on Reinhardt.
And for those of you who don't know, Reinhardt, first
Florida
high school. Is it high school or just Florida?
High school. Yeah.
High schooler to break 4 minutes in the mile.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy
ran
insane.
for Nice.
So
Under actually my old business partner was his coach.
Oh, really?
So Ted, who we started the running store together, end up being his coach.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So, and again, you want to talk about like that small little world, like,
Yeah.
you know, and Ted grew up and went to Nice, you know, and he was coached by, you know, coaches that were all in that little funnel, man. It's, you know.
So if any of you are interested in running or anything like that, I mean, Jacksonville, if you got kids that you want them to be a legend and they got the talent for it, this is where you start them.
Yeah.
So, well, cool. Well, I want to get into cycling a little bit. There's been, you know, it's globally around the world right now, it's the most interesting time for bike season. I mean, Tour de France is going on and everything.
Right.
And then is season picking up for you guys too, right? I mean, we're what, mid-season right now?
Yeah, it's the U.S. schedule's a little weird. It's usually like a lot of it's based on what's going on in the weather. So like, you know, the South will be a little bit more early season. You know, March, April, May is beautiful, and then like down here, there's not much going on. But you can go up to like Wisconsin and Chicago. There's some big events going on there right now, just because it's cooler, you know.
Right.
So yeah, so it's, you know, we just had nationals for the pros. The Masters and Juniors Nationals is coming up next month in Augusta.
Okay.
And then yeah, the frickin' tour's on. Like, I mean, it's exciting.
Yeah,
like
every morning.
Yeah, so I haven't seen anything yet this so far today, but you know, it's been exciting for sure.
Craziest thing I think that's happened so far, if any of you guys are interested in cycling. I know it's a really kind of a niche sport. It's something you have to either immerse yourself in, or it's something you kind of grow up around.
Right.
Big thing this year, the Manx Missile.
Yeah.
The official king
Yeah.
of the Tour de France.
Dude.
So beating out the Belgium.
Yeah. Cheers to
Eddie
Cavendish,
Merckx,
right?
yeah.
Cav.
How about that?
So
Cheers.
he broke the all-time record for Tour de France wins. So Mark
And
Cavendish.
It's 35.
35, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And,
And,
he tried to retire a couple times, and he was just
He
like,
did.
"Oh."
He was able to bounce back.
Yeah.
Because there's no way he is. You don't think he's still in his 30s? He's got to be 40s.
Oh man,
Like just an estimated guess.
I should know this. You know what? Crazy thing.
Huh?
We have the same birthday.
No way.
Yeah.
Yes, so you should know it.
Yeah. I get a message every day from like, or not every day, but every year, like, hey, you know, happy birthday to the second fastest cyclist I know. You know, because Cavendish is always going to, you know, be the best. You know, and so.
So, and this would actually be really cool to get your you know, opinion on when it comes to being a victor, not like yellow jersey or anything like that, but just stage wins in a hard cycling arena. Is it better if you're a sprinter like Cavendish, or kind of just an all-round like Eddie Merckx?
Yeah, that's it's tricky, man. I mean, definitely that's the coolest part about cycling. You know, I was chatting with one of my athletes this morning, and he's 61. And we're on a group ride with 50, 60 people, you know, and the youngest kid out there is probably 14. There's females out there. Like cycling, you know, you won't find that in any other sport, right? You can't do that in running or swimming or basketball. Like, you know, there's just all this different atmosphere going on. So I think, you know, you just kind of follow what your strengths are. And if you're finding like, hey, I'm a better sprinter, you're picking out courses that are good for you. But like, yeah, like for me, I'm definitely not a great sprinter.
Right.
So I'm always looking for that course that's like really hilly, really hot, really windy, whatever, like that just makes it hard for everybody because, you know, a flat circle, you can hide, you know, and you can, like down here in Florida, like there's just no hills. So it really, but, you know, anywhere else, like you know, you start to go uphill, it gets harder, you know, so. Yeah, so I think, I don't know what you would want to be, but, you know, obviously Cavendish has the most wins, but he beat Eddie Merckx, so.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at it too, I mean, with how long ago Eddie Merckx cycled, which was what, like last century?
Yeah.
He was able to put up a number that high.
Right.
Like that long ago when maybe the competition wasn't as, you know, close-knit and, I guess, competitive, for a better word, as it is now.
Yeah, I think nowadays, with the team aspect and like, you know, guys on, you know, you got your team guy on the radio telling you what the time gap is. I mean, there's definitely an advantage of being a sprinter now versus where, you know, like Eddie Merckx goes in a break, you know, nobody's all communicating going, hey, I think Eddie's gone. They don't know if it's 8 minutes or 2 minutes. I mean, you know, sometimes the motos would, but by the time, you know, he's got 5 minutes, it's over, right? Like
exactly.
You know, so
I mean, yeah, because if you can break that much of a gap, like halfway through like a hilly stage,
Yep.
and being the all-around cyclist that he was, I mean, yeah, he's gone.
Yeah,
like
for
it's
sure.
done. So,
Yeah.
well, dang, super cool. Omar, can I get a check and just see if all the cameras are still going?
Yeah. No, these two are.
Okay.
This one isn't.
That one stopped? Okay.
I couldn't walk around. Well, I could have.
You can. No, it's totally fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I said, this is just we're just going off the first time. It's fine.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay. So it's rolling now, but yeah.
still rolling? Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so you go, and I guess honestly, I'll go back a little bit to when you might have been more in the triathlon stage, but coming to Jack's and starting a running store. So, and I actually haven't really talked to you about this in depth, but Jacksonville Running Company probably had a decent amount of competition back then because of how long first place had been around here.
Yeah.
And then a whole bunch of other mom and pop running stores.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, First Place Sports, I believe they opened in 1978 or 79.
Okay.
You know, so they were pretty ingrained. They started around the same time as the Gate River Run. Actually, a funny story, the owner, Doug Allred, he was an accountant, I believe, and he had a bet with somebody, and they're like, he played basketball, and the guy basically bet him. He's like, oh, I bet you can't run the Gate River Run, and it was the first year they were doing the Gate River Run, and Doug's like, yeah, I'll do that, and then he became a runner. All of a sudden, he was like, running's kind of cool, and
that.
so him and this his buddy, I think they actually started the store, and you know, a kind of little side note, but yeah, here it's still crushing it, you know, but I worked for them for a handful of years and learned a lot. You know, just amazing owners, amazing people. But yeah, when I like was like, oh, I'm gonna do my own thing, you know, like Doug, you know, he kind of looked at me and goes, hey man, I'm a competitor, and I was like,
Yeah.
I know. And so, you know, it was this hard thing, but you know, I wanted to take a risk and try something on my own, and you know, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, we had a blast, and we went after it, and so yeah, it was one of those things in my life that, like, until that moment, like I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this. I had like my foot like halfway in,
Yeah.
and then that day, like, you know, Doug was like, hey, we're gonna have to let you go. You know, I was like, oh crap, I got to do this.
So yeah, I'm
So
in.
yeah, so then people would always ask me, they're like, oh, how'd you do it, or like, why weren't you scared? And I was like, I didn't have a choice, man. I had to do it. You know, it's like full gas. So I think that's part of it, is like, you know, the running store was something I loved, you know, and there was a great community around me at the time. I mean, even like your dad, you know, helped support, and you know, he was doing race management, so we kind of bounced off of each other, and it was really cool.
Yeah, brought groups and everything. And you know what, I remember as a kid, gosh, I'm trying to think, like maybe could have been younger than like 10 years. Just showing up in the store, and Dad's like, hey, I need a new pair of shoes. You're going to get one too.
Yeah.
You know, fitted, just go outside, just run up and down the street a couple times, see how you feel.
Yeah.
And those are just fond memories. I remember people like Jason, like Albert, like checking out. I mean, super nice people. I mean, you guys had a solid crowd back in the day.
Yeah, we had amazing crew, and I mean, they took ownership, and you know, it was like one of those things that, you know, I love it. Like, I really do miss it.
Yeah.
You know, but man, it was hard. It was hard. I mean, you know, it wasn't easy. It's a tough industry, but you know, like, you know, throwing out to anybody, like, support your mom and pop places like this. I mean, like, dude, these guys work hard. You know, we worked hard, and it's like sometimes people don't realize like the effort that we go into, and then it's like,
well, I mean, especially now too, because I mean, if people are like, what would a running store have? I mean, well, your number one thing is shoes, right? And then, I mean, on checkout, you got, you know, a couple like fitness things that can go with it, maybe like some socks, but like those are rare. But then you got like the little goos, or like a 5-hour energy maybe, just kind of up there at the front. So, I mean, it's really kind of a simplified like market.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot more to it to that too. I mean, there's a lot of knowledge that you're getting from those people.
Right.
And for instance, First Place Sports. I mean, everybody wants to go run a race. Well, who puts on the races? They do.
Yeah.
So if you don't support them, nobody's there to put the races on, or I mean,
Yeah.
so it's like you got to kind of like measure that out, like. Everybody wants this, and then it's like, well, how bad do you really want it,
Exactly.
And so you got to support, local. I mean, because, we used to go to like a brewery, and they would, do happy hours for our running crew,
Right.
and it was fun. It was a social atmosphere,
Yeah.
and it's like, I hate saying this, but it's like, dude, I started the beer runs. Like, I mean, you look at like the first beer run, but I'm serious, like, we went to a brewery and we're like, hey, let's partner up. You give us $1 discount. We're going to bring people here. And it was like this synergistic thing, right? Like, like we're supporting a local business. They're helping us out. And so I think that's the missing story sometimes. You're like, oh, a running store, you go in, you get shoes. It's like, no, they do so much more for the community and everything like that.
And that's one thing that you said, I feel like honestly doesn't happen enough on like, on a local level.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we talk about it now, Jacksonville, like comparatively speaking, now to 10 years ago, totally different place.
Right.
But I mean, the whole local aspect is still very much here. And like, you could even say like doing much better than it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, because the amount of like plazas they're just bringing up here. I mean, there's so many other opportunities for people to start things up.
Yeah.
And I just turn around and see a new place every day. So, and this one being one of them.
Yeah.
So, and Brian, the owner here of Second Bay Brewery, he's got a really cool story that we'll talk about in a second. Omar, do you know how long we've been running?
Yeah, about 18 minutes.
18? Okay, so we'll wrap this area up a little bit. So.
I would be opposed if you maybe ask a couple of the same questions just for the purpose of that camera.
Oh no, it's easy. Like if that camera's out, then I mean we could easily switch that one, and yeah, it's a-okay.
Yeah, about 20 minutes.
Okay, I'm just the interviewer. It's on him most of the time. But okay, so we've honestly gone through most of it, but right now, when obviously you transitioned from the running store to personal training, has it been, I guess, on a comparative level, just as challenging? Because I mean, maybe, and could be like a good or bad analogy, like there's a whole bunch of different types of shoes that you're bringing in, and some of them lose popularity, some of them gain it. Maybe one's popular, but it doesn't fit in Jacksonville. A lot of people don't use it. And then you look over at training, everyone's got their different, patterns. So, I mean, you really got to lock in on every single athlete you have.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's two different things. Yeah, it's, the running store was a little, I mean, there's challenges and things like that, but it was systematic. Like, right, you came in on Monday, we did our orders, we filled in, we knew what was selling, what wasn't selling, and you just kind of, you got into this routine and this groove, and it's like you knew Saturdays were going to be busy, so you'd have more staffing on Saturdays, holiday, things like that. So it really was kind of systematic. You're open from this time to this time, where coaching is like, dude, it's crazy. I mean, I love my athletes, but some of them, like, I want to strangle sometimes, and then, you got to like take a deep breath, and you're like, okay, man, like, everybody's different, and so that's the challenging part for me. I'm like, man, like, I've got some of these really awesome athletes that I'm like, man, if everybody did what you did, it would be perfect. Like, we'd have no issues, but like, some people want to do more. Some people, they can't get motivated. Some people, they just have life going on. I mean, I mean, and I'm in the same boat, right? Like, I look for excuses sometimes why not to go work out, and like, I had a coach that, he told me, he was like, you have to find a reason why versus a reason not why, not wanting to. And so that like changed my mentality. I was like, all right, what is my reason why? And I'm like, all right, I want to win another national championship, or I want to go to Worlds or whatever. So it was like, that triggered that. So, yeah, dealing with people, man, like everybody's different, man. Like, you're motivated, different things, and like you're excited, where I got people that, they got life going on, man, and it's just not a high priority. But that being said, like, I've got to sit back and understand that and go, okay, hey, yeah, no, I agree with you. Family comes first,
Right.
your work comes second, and then this training thing is mixed in with everything else that's
Yeah.
going on in your life. And so once I kind of started going that perspective, I was like, all right, but at the same time, I'm like, hey, there's a fine line between you're just being lazy and like, hey, like, all right, you got to get going, like. I mean, it's...
And we're not naming names.
Right,
but,
yeah,
I mean,
no
you
names.
know who you are. I'm
Yeah.
sure Owen's going to like put this up and be like, promote it, but
Yeah.
hey, you know who you are.
Yeah,
Right?
so that's the challenge, and like I said, it's just as bad on the other end of it, where I've got guys that are like, or girls that are like, oh, I'm going to go do an extra hour, and I'm like, just follow the schedule, like, just do what's on there.
Like,
and
it's Florida, man. I mean, I don't know if you got like heat training or
Oh,
like
but-
morning training, but I
yeah.
mean, you got a heat training day and you're feeling super good. Like, oh yeah, let's go like another 30 minutes. No,
And then the lights are out. Yeah,
Yeah.
You don't realize it. All of a sudden it got 10 degrees warmer, and
it's just, yeah.
or they
So,
don't think about what's the next day or the day after that, right? And it's all systematic. And I get it, you're feeling good, but it's like, hey, there's a master.
Right.
I always talk about it. It's like I'm making a big bowl of soup. And I'm like, I'm putting all the right ingredients on. I got the temperature at the right temperature, and I'm, and they just
Stirring.
they keep throwing a little bit of this in there. They're like, oh man, it needs a little bit more garlic, And I'm like,
You're not the chef.
you're messing up the soup.
This is my
man.
kitchen.
Stop messing up the soup. So, yeah, no, it's way more challenging, man. I think about the running store sometimes, and I'm like, I just want to go back to ordering, some shoes.
Right. Hey, you need some Sauconys? Cool.
But
Gotcha.
on the other side, I have a lot more freedom.
Right.
Like, yeah, there's some text messages I got to answer later or whatever, or do things, but the store, like, it was, I missed funerals, I missed weddings, I missed a lot of important things because I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, like,
I got business to run.
I got business to
And
run. Where now?
And people who don't know, I mean, it wasn't one store. It was multiple locations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't just like we can close for a day.
Right.
because- Yeah.
Yeah, and where, this side of it, it's like, when my father passed away, like, I was able to go to Arizona, I had my laptop, and still communicate with my athletes. Yeah,
Right.
maybe there's a time gap somewhere, but, I'm still able to, like, spend time with my family and do those things where, if I had the running store, could I went and hung out with my mom for 45 days? Like, probably not. I would have been there for a week and said, hey, Mom, I gotta get back home. And I don't know how important that was to her at the time. I feel like it was, just to be there with your family and things like that. So,
Right.
yeah, man. So I think there's pros and cons to both sides of it, for
Sure. Well, dang. And you know what? I think that just about goes through everything. But I want to know what your plan is for kind of like the next season or two when it comes to cycling. Because if I remember correctly, the age groups are kind of like every 5 years. So is it more critical to train when you're getting ready to go into like the lower end of a bracket instead of being like at a higher end? Or basically, like, how does it relate to you, and is that gonna like change what you got going on here over the next season or 2, 3?
Yeah. I mean, for me, every year it's, it is trying to figure out what the next goal is. And, I was talking to Frankie Andreu, who's, used to be a famous cyclist for the U.S. Postal, and then he does a lot of the race commentating now for a lot of the big events. And I was just like, man, I need some like motivation to like get my butt going, because it's hard to wake up every morning. You won a couple championships, and you're like, what's next? But yeah, so next year I'll move up into a new age bracket. It's 5-year increments, and the World Championships is actually in Australia next year. So I've never been to Australia. I'm like, oh, that'll be cool. I went to Scotland 2 years ago for the World Championships and got 14th.
Sick.
Yeah. So for that age group, so like next year I'll move into like I'll be the young kid coming in.
Oh, so you're getting ready to switch age groups.
Yeah. So I'll
Okay.
be the young buck coming in, So next year, World Championships, Australia. That's the main goal. You know, I'm not. You know, I got to throw it out there, right? Because if you don't, then who knows, right?
And I mean, you know, it's a crazy thing too. I mean, you say it, then you know, it's not like could be self-hypnosis, but I mean, then you just go out and you execute it. You know? I mean, hey, this is the plan. We got it. It makes logical sense. Yeah. And we just go execute. So
and going
for the crown and the down under.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I have athletes, and I tell them to write it on the wall, you know, and just put it out there, and because then
vision
we know.
Boards are huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, and you know, again, it's just like, why do I wake up every morning, you know, and you got to have that reason. So. Yeah. No, man. So World Championships, Australia, that'd be cool.
All right. Cool. Yeah. Well, no, I mean. And through this season too, if not later, then next year for sure we'll catch back up and see how it went.
Yeah, sounds good.
But all right, everybody. So we're gonna get into our next segment called Tap Talk, and Tap Talk is gonna be sponsored by Second Bay Brewery Company here in Mandarin, Florida, and we're just gonna talk about a little bit of their drinks. So without further ado, let's get started. All right. That was sick, man.
Yeah, dude. Thanks, man. That was fun.
I know. I kind of like having a little bit of a different setup. I'm going to pause all these though more, give them a little bit of time to reset. It's nice. All right, cool. All right. Well, everybody, we're back here with Tap Talk of Frankly Speaking. Today's Tap Talk is sponsored by Second Bay Brewing Company. Our main man, Brian, the owner of the establishment here. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for having us.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for being here.
Super excited to be here. You gave us a flight of beer to try. Both of them having different things, and some of them the same things on it. I gotta say, man, I'm a fan of everything you put in front of me. I mean, we got a Kolsch, we got a sour, we got a stout. I dig it, and I'm gonna honestly start with the Toothless, which is our stout here. Did I smell?
Sorry, I haven't even tried it yet.
Yeah.
Do I?
Man, I need to get my act together.
It's good.
Is that what you have in your glass?
That's what I brought over.
Do I smell chocolate? Like
fudge.
Fudge.
So you get a little bit of the roastiness from the grain.
Okay.
And the malt, you know, and then we get it from over at Poppin' Boxes, local here in this shopping center. 7 pounds, so you can imagine what a 7-pound block of fudge looks like.
Holy cow!
But
we literally finished our segment talking about like supporting local people. And you're down here down the block,
right there,
behind the fudge.
It's great, and we've used them time and time again for most of our stouts, putting that fudge or whatever they have down there that they can make for us. It's great.
Nice,
it's great.
Awesome. Okay.
It's good.
So,
it's good.
I know. Yeah. That one, oh gosh.
I'm glad I saved it for the end. It's like dessert. It's like dessert.
It is. So Owen was going through all the glasses and really draining them. I was just trying to get a lay of the land and sip on all of them.
Especially at 8%, it's 8 or 9%, it does very well.
So, Brian, I want to talk about the story of Second Bay and how you guys kind of came to be. I know it started with you, right?
Yes.
And you were the cornerstone of Second Bay. So,
oh, yeah.
So walk us through. How did that come to be?
So I've always had a passion for beer, and back then you could pick up just a few regular beers, your Shock Top or Blue Moon or those types of beers, and I wanted to start making my own. So the first time you do it in your house, your significant other is like, okay, no more of that. So my dad had passed. He left me and my brother some money, so I built a barn. And inside that barn, there was a few bays that were closed in, and in the second bay is where I started brewing. After the incident inside, it was like no more inside, so the barn was built, and now I had a very nice area to start brewing beer. And 10 years later, here we are.
Wow. Only 10 years.
Yeah, well, that's a long time.
Only 10 years.
It's a lot of time brewing beer, and as you start in buckets, just like everybody. Everybody starts in the garage or something to that effect. And you start up in your game from plastic jugs to stainless steel. You start learning more about water and how it affects the taste and mouthfeel of the beer. And becoming a maltster and understanding the difference between the malts and how you can add flavor, mouthfeel, or any of that stuff, and the hops, and it really starts to tie together. And
awesome.
you start winning medals in competitions, and it gives you the confidence to maybe make that next step.
Now, I know when it comes to brewing, a lot of it's experimental. just
Yes.
trying new things out. I mean, that's why the craft is so awesome.
Yes.
But did you go hard in like studying like how brewing works, or were you kind of just like shooting in the dark?
Oh, you know, a lot of YouTube, a lot of working with groups like Cask, which is local here, or Jacksonville Ale Exchange. There are two beer clubs that you can be part of, and a lot of knowledge there to, bounce off of people. So, a lot of that plays into line, and some of the happiest accidents you ever have are probably some of the best beers.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it works out.
Are any of these an accident that we have in front of us?
Actually, the Pale Sales was one, but I don't know if that's on this one.
We have the Kolsch, or I have the Kolsch, the Hazy Confused White Guys and Toothless.
Yeah. I mean, you're always messing around. You're always trying to find that next great beer. So it's always, the one of the beers is the Knight's Pale. That just happened to be. I look back here. We got a bunch of grain. I had some hops and a yeast, and I was like, okay, it's like a mashup. Let's just pull everything out of the fridge. Let's put it all in this and see how it happens. And
how
I
about
get
it?
very good,
Make it soup.
good
Make it
reviews
soup. Yeah.
from that one. And I'm glad I write this stuff down, because sometimes you just throw it together and you're just like, that was great.
Yeah.
What was in it? Oh, I don't know.
Right. Better. Yeah.
But you keep track of that stuff, and it's good. It's always it's fun.
Okay.
It's a lot of fun. It's never
Yeah.
really work.
That's so cool. And you know what's crazy is that, and I mean, you're a fellow Knoll.
Yes.
Up there in Tallahassee, I mean, a lot of the young guys, I feel, come up in like a brewery now, and if they know like what the contents of alcohol is and the difference between beers, they're like, yeah, I'm that guy. So the craft is kind of reaching its way down to a younger audience,
That's good.
and it's cool. It's cool to just watch it keep going and flourish.
Yes.
So I'm curious though, because you have 16 things on that menu board there. Are any of them? I'm sure some of them are there to stay, but are any of them just like audition
We
or
rotate
trying
a
things
lot.
out?
We
Okay.
rotate a lot, and it could be seasonal too. So some of the heavier beers we might wait till it starts to cool down. We start to get into football season. The darker beers, right now we try to do a lot of light and bright. It's hot outside, so let's find something that's refreshing and mix it up. I always try to keep a variety up there. I'm not too heavy into any one beer, so I try to keep it mixed up.
Okay. Yeah. No. I mean, you're doing a good. I mean, look here. I'll show this. Look at this color palette. I mean, we got everything different, and then this one right here was gold. I mean, you did a fantastic job with how we pick stuff out. But do you have like an undisputed, like most popular here?
Probably
at
the hazies. Probably the hazy beers. Yeah.
Okay.
The hazies. The pales seem to do very well. IPAs are always going to be around. I don't think they're going anywhere. So it seems to be one of the popular ones that people are looking for. A lot of people new to craft beer. They're developing their taste, and they want to drink the IPAs. So that seems to be something everybody's looking for.
And
Does nobody like the Hefeweizen?
Oh, I do.
Okay,
I do.
thank you.
I love
Wow.
Belgian beers.
Dude,
Belgian beers.
I smelled a banana on this thing.
banana.
Dude, I like, whoa.
Yes, great beer. I love Belgian beers.
Yeah, all right.
So-
thank you.
and I'm
Like
totally
cycling, Belgium.
Yes,
I'm
of course.
like, dude.
It all connects.
Yeah,
It's a giant thing.
Here we go.
But I'm curious though, because it's funny you say that about the IPAs. I've been around a whole bunch of people, and I mean, Owen, my dad's one of them.
Yeah.
Does not want to touch an IPA.
Yeah, me either.
So,
Yeah.
what's the deal? You think it's just like totally I don't want to say like strong, but it's like one people can go 100% with it, and other people just go zero.
Some people are totally yes. Some people are totally no.
Yeah.
And it's always. IPAs are great. I have ambers back there, Pilsner. You just try to find a good mix for everybody. So you try to just provide an opportunity for everybody and hit a chord for everyone to find something that they like up there. So easy drinking is just because it's easy drinking, and it can be malty, and that's what people like as a malty beer.
Right.
English beers, bitters, ESBs, you name it. People will come here just for one beer. That's all they want to drink. So everybody has their own taste, and we just try to provide what we can.
And I really picked up more of a, I don't know the right word, fruity or floral taste here on the Wise Guys. And it
Yes.
said it was a sour. I don't really taste
It's a Berliner, so it's a light sour. I would call it more of like a training wheel sour. If you're looking to get into sours and,
Right.
and it's not too acidic, too jaw locking,
Right.
it's a great way to start for sours. And it's very fruity, it's very light, and that's just the style of Berliners.
Right on. Okay. And, I've said it once, I'll say it again. I mean, you've got everything all over the board here.
Yes.
So this is being recorded in July. It'll be posted this month as well. But going down the line, what seasonal beers are you going to bring here to, the Bay?
The Amber's next, Hammond's Amber, very good malty beer, light on the hops. The Pilsner, we're going to do another Pils as well. It'll have honey on it. It's our Honey Bunny. It's a really good beer.
That's you and your dad.
Yeah, that's us.
Great light beers are good at this time of year. So, it's something easy drinking.
Is there
It depends on what you
October
look
thing? I mean, I know we're getting
Yeah,
close,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I know October for beer starts in September 1st or something like that?
Right. I did our Oktoberfest, a buddy of mine, and I have a recipe that we brewed last year, and it's an amazing hit. It takes a month, but it is so worth it in the end. It is so worth it in the end.
So, and this is an awesome question I get to ask right here, because now I finally have the opportunity, on camera. What makes an Oktoberfest? What makes everyone rally behind it? Because I know in Germany they have the whole festival and everything,
Right.
but over here we don't have it. It's pure taste, goodness, just all in a beer. So what makes it so? Yeah, what makes it so
pumpkin
appealing?
too. Man. You gotta love them pumpkin.
dude.
That's another thing that people are yes or no with, but
Right.
that Oktoberfest is a specific kind of yeast, and then it's lagered, and it's malty, so that it's got a really good light flavor and that malty sweetness that goes along with it. I love Oktoberfest. Personally, there's a lot of big boxes that I like to go to when I go to Publix or whatever, and there's a Hacker Shore or Samuel Adams. They make great ones, but I guess I'm just I like my own brand.
I'm excited. I'm ready for it, man.
Yeah.
I'll be here September 1st.
Yes. And they take a while, but
Do they?
they are
Okay.
so worth it. It's so worth it in the end. You have to come back and try.
Oh,
it.
dude,
It's
I definitely-
super
And
great.
how long does your October go? Is it September 1st to the 31st of October, or does it go into November?
Until it runs out. Yeah.
I was about to say, because by that time I'll be away in Tally, so it's like whenever there's a weekend, it'd be like, hey guys, we got on the checklist, second Bay.
Yes, in October, that time of year is amazing for great beers. It's not too cold. It's not too hot. It's just right there. It's perfect.
Awesome. All right, so we're also here celebrating your guys' second anniversary.
Yes.
What was the exact day? Because I saw on social media it was like, hey, our anniversary's today, or we're celebrating it, but I didn't get an exact date. What's
It's
the
the
date?
16th.
16th.
Yeah, July 16th.
Of July. Okay.
Yes.
So we're almost there.
Yes, we're getting there.
How if you look back and reflect on the 2 years, how's it been? Everything you ever wanted? A couple more challenges than you thought?
It's
or?
always a challenge. You're always trying to look for efficiencies. You're trying to make things streamlined. You're always looking for better ways to do things. Your staff, it takes a village to make it work.
Right.
I'm the brewer, and Jamie is great up front. So we need that. We need that combination of people working here to make it successful.
Right, and as we were talking about, behind this glass here, the cameras get to go. All the brewing is back there. That's your domain.
That's my domain.
And she's
And
out here.
Jamie, this
So-
is her domain.
Right.
That's
and
right.
Now I will definitely give a shout out to the staff, because every time I've been here, they've been awesome. So Jay, shout out to Jay.
Yeah, Jay, you're amazing.
He's been really cool,
Yeah.
man. He's a nice guy. So it's funny. We're just sitting there, a whole bunch of college guys. We'll start talking about video games and stuff too, and he'll just jump right in.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay,
Yes.
all right, he knows what he's talking about.
He comes in every day. Whatever had happened that day, he's left it at the door, and that's what you get every time.
Right
Yes,
on.
Absolutely.
Right on.
If you're in a bad mood, I'm telling you, just being around him, he'll bring it out of you. Same thing with Jamie. She's great. everything's just left at the door, and it's, she gets in here, it's all business and fun.
Yeah, I know. I mean, getting this whole thing together and everything. I mean, going back and forth with Jamie. I mean, she's like sending gifts on text of how excited she is. People like dancing and stuff, and I'm like, all right,
Great at
let's
it.
go.
Oh yes.
So, but yeah, I really dig what you guys have going on here. What for people who are in the Jackson, St. Augustine area, what do you guys have? Any events, like a monthly, weekly thing? Any specials on certain days of the week?
So, like what we had last night, First Fridays. Every first Friday of the month, we have Jamar Christian come in and play and sing. We usually try to make it a big event, great party. Get people in the door. Every Wednesday we have poker night at 7 o'clock. So we have grown exponentially on Wednesday nights. It's great. And Sunday, every other Sunday we have cornhole out back. So that brings a lot of people too. So you have a great variety of people that may do this, might not do that, and it's putting all the pieces together to be successful.
All right. Well, I'm super excited. Is there anything else you'd like to say? I mean, before we go, I mean, Second Bay. 2 years in.
Come by, have a beer. See our staff. I promise you'll love it.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, all these drinks in front of me, I've got no issue with it. I think I would choose. You know what? I'd choose the Toothless.
I was gonna
our
say, dude,
our fudgy little stout.
yes,
Man, that thing's
yes.
awesome.
Oh,
So,
man.
go on. We'll do a cheers. We'll cheers.
guys.
Cheers.
Cheers to the
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So, to Second Bay, to the shop master, to
Yes.
Frankly Speaking. So,
Yeah.
cheers, y'all.
Cheers.
And to everybody watching, thank you for so much, checking us out. And, I'm just a college kid growing this little thing called Frankly Speaking. My name's Frank Palmieri, and we'll see you in an episode coming up soon. So thank you guys for watching, and thank you, gentlemen, for coming on.
Thank you, Fred.
All right. Pleasure, guys.
Nice to meet you.
Way to go.
Dude, yeah. It's exciting.
How about that?
This was easier, so we can talk about.